everyone, it's Kim here at Hancock Homesteading Gardens, and today it's Thursday, September the 8th, and that means it's time for Vlog Timber 8. And today it's time for Tips and Tricks Thursday. And I'm out here in the apple orchard, so I thought I would just tell you a little bit about apples. Alright, here we go. So the first thing I'm going to tell you about our apple orchard is that we have 4 different trees. This first tree here is a McIntosh. These 2 trees are Red Delicious. And then we have a tree way down here on the far side. That's a Golden Delicious. We used to have trees in between these, but we lost them in a storm a couple of years ago. So we're down to these 4. All 4 of these trees put out really good tasting, fresh, crisp, firm apples. And they all make great applesauce, great apple pies. But I did have a viewer ask me a question about our apple trees, and I want to answer that today. Over here we have our 2 Red Delicious. And as you can see, we have this Red Delicious that has just a little bit of fruit on it. And then we have this Red Delicious that is just loaded with fruit. So Lola from Lilybug Lane wanted to know why one of our apple trees was loaded and the other one wasn't. Well, that's because if apple trees are left to their natural course, they do what's called biennial fruiting or alternate fruiting, and that means that they only fruit every other year, or they put on a heavier fruit every other year. Last year, this tree here was very heavy with fruit. And so this year it's going through a lighter season. I mean, we still have some apples on there, but it's just not as heavy. Last year, this tree was light in fruit. And now this year, it's very heavy with fruit. I mean, if you just look at this one branch just right here, you're going to see that there's probably at least 12 apples there. Now, that's if apple trees are left to their natural state. However, you can prevent this a little bit by thinning. At the beginning of the year, when the apples just come on and they're just green little buds, if you were to take off every other bud, then it would help to regulate its fruiting a little bit more. Also, you can spray them with, I think it's like a hormonal type spray for trees that causes them to have more regular fruiting instead of the alternate fruiting. But we don't spray our trees. So we just let nature take its course. And actually it's kind of a nice thing because, you know, we know one year that we're going to have a heavy tree. And then the other tree's going to take a break. So that's what's happened here. Our McIntosh this year, it's already dropped its apples, but last year it was a heavy fruiter. So this year, not as many. But let me show you what one does look like. Like I said, we still got some fruit from it. In fact, we're still getting some fruit from it. Here's one that it dropped this morning. And the McIntosh have a red gold tint to them. And they're very firm, very crunchy, juicy. They're just delicious. Here's another one. So it's still dropping some fruit. But it did its drop earlier in September, the main drop. So we've already picked most of them. Okay, let's go look at the Golden Delicious. Okay, so this is our Golden Delicious. All of our trees are semi-dwarfs. That means they're not going to get very tall. This is as tall as this tree will get. It actually should not have a V prune in there like that. But that's the way it grew, and it's been standing there like that for 25 years now, so I guess it's going to be okay. This Golden Delicious was a heavy fruiter last year. So that means this year we are getting some fruit, but not as much. And it has already dropped its fruit. Most of it, and we've picked it up. We've got about, I'd say a good 5-gallon bucket full. So I wanted to show you something about these Golden Delicious apples. Well, actually, this happens to all of the apples in our orchard, but you can really notice it on the Golden Delicious. All right, so this one here has a wormhole. Okay, I'm going to take that off for a minute. That's going to go. This will go to the chickens. Okay, but this one here, if you notice, it has these little spots on it. Okay, those spots are called cedar apple rust fungus. Okay, we have cedar trees around our property. As long as there's a cedar tree within 2 miles of your property, that's how far the spores can travel. So, you know, you're going to have cedar apple rust in the state of Missouri unless you just plan to spray your trees. But like I said before, we don't spray our trees because we're not a commercial grower. And even though it has these spots, this apple is going to taste just as good. Okay? Once you take that skin off, that meat inside is going to be just as firm, just as juicy, just as delicious. So it actually doesn't do any damage to the fruit other than discolor the skin. Okay. And let me show you a special apple that I have growing in this tree. Hey you. Yes. This is Spice's favorite tree because she can get into it very easily. So she is always up in this tree. This is like her jungle gym. Hello, Spice. All right. Okay, and one other thing that might cause an apple tree to have a lighter fruiting is how hard it was pruned the year before. We usually prune our apple trees in January, and if we give them a heavy pruning, then we know that that year they might have a lighter fruit. It's been probably about 2 years now since we've done a heavy pruning, so our apple trees are in good shape. Well, I hope that you were able to learn something about apples today and apple orchards, and some tips and tricks should you decide that you want to put in an orchard on your homestead. I appreciate you joining me today. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to know more about our homestead and what we do on it, please subscribe and share. If you have a friend that you think might enjoy this video, please share it. This is Kim at Hancock Homesteading Gardens saying bye for now. Paulo sure does enjoy the apples, don't you, Paulo? Yes. And we usually have to try to come out here and pick early in the morning before you get them all, don't we? I know.